Okay, this should be a pretty interesting article, especially if you're not very well informed about climate change. When you come to my channel, you find out the truth. Climate change is a lie. I don't say to take my word for it. Do your own research. If you actually go and do your own independent research, you will come to the exact same conclusion. There's actually been court cases won against countries who imposed policies to fight climate change. And these climatologists and scientists and all these different people have come out and have challenged this official narrative and have shown proof that these elites, the ones you hear about going to these Bilderberg meetings every year, all the major heads of all the major companies and so on and so forth, they all come together every year and they have these secret meetings that nobody allowed to go to. One of the things that they discuss in this article touches on that very subject, and I'll tell you how that's related momentarily here. Now, what's going on here is we've got a physicist explaining climate change to a denier on TV, and they're saying it's grim viewing. Now, I didn't actually see the video. I'm sure there's a video out there, and I could probably go find it, but I actually just wanted to present this article to you today. And what's interesting here is it says it was like watching an internet forum argument, but on national television, as one tweeter put it. And I find that quite interesting and quite telling, because I don't know if you guys have noticed it like I have, but it seems like there's a lot more arguments and debates and fights going on TV that look like something you would normally see on, say, YouTube or an internet forum, especially with this presidential election going on. We've got one of the most crooked people in the history of America, and Hillary Clinton, still running for office. But yet somehow they're trying to make America believe that she's pretty much winning by a landslide every other day, which is absolutely laughable. Because regardless of any problems that Donald Trump may have, just like every other country that's already fighting this, Americans know one thing, because we've seen what happened to Germany and France and England and all these other countries that are getting overrun by refugees, and it's ripping their country apart. And that's Donald Trump's probably biggest platform, is his immigration. He wants to stop the people from coming in. Hillary wants to bring them in droves. And most Americans at this point are smart enough to see what's going on in the rest of the world, to realize that bringing a bunch of these people in who want to kill us and breed us out of existence is probably pretty fucking stupid. And this is important, okay? Because what's going on here, because this is happening more and more on TV, is because more and more people are waking up. This is a global agenda, you guys, and climate change is a part of it. And the end game of all this is they want to kill 80 to 90% of the planet, just as it used to say on the United Nations website, very similar to the 500 million that they have there on the Georgia Guidestones. All right, and what's going on here is more people are waking up, and what makes me say that is this, okay? It's because, as you've noticed, for those of you who you may or may not have noticed, that things are getting worse and worse and worse and more backwards. Okay, this is because they're accelerating the push in their agenda to depopulate the planet. Okay, and what's going on is you got all these people who are around there unknowingly standing in an ant pile. right? And the ants are all these elites who want to take everybody out. Well, eventually, most of these people standing in the ant pile are going to get bit by an ant and realize, well, shit, maybe I should get out of this ant pile I didn't realize I was standing in and get the heck out of Dodge. Now, obviously, we got a bunch of libtards out there who are more than happy to just stand in the pile and get eaten alive while they're protecting transgender rights or some crap. But that's what's happening. And that's why you're seeing more and more of this on TV, because they are accelerating their agenda. People are ready to fight back. Now, what we have here is a British physicist named Professor Brian Cox. He's trying his best to explain human-induced climate change to avowed climate denier Malcolm Roberts, a newly appointed senator of the One Nation Party in Australia. They went head to head on this TV program on Monday, where Roberts claimed there had been a pause in global warming for decades. He said, we've had a pause in this so-called warming now for 21 years. Depends on how you measure it. That's when Cox pulled out the Global Land Ocean Temperature Index, a graph that illustrates how wrong that claim was. Cox explained that it was easy for deniers to draw a straighter line between certain years on the graph to try back up the pause claim, ignoring the fact that 2015 was the hottest year on record and 2016 looks likely to beat it. Or even the clear rise in temperatures stemming all the way back from 1880. Then Cox pulled out a graph showing a rapid increase of carbon dioxide in the air, which is currently at its highest levels in 650,000 years. And so what he says is, the question essentially, first of all, are those two things correlated? And secondly, do we understand the physical mechanisms? And we've understood those since the 19th century. Guys, you got to go do your research on this one, because you know what? There is not really one piece of empirical evidence that proves that carbon dioxide has anything at all to do with global warming. And guess what? If we don't have any carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, guess what? We don't have plant life anymore. And if we don't have any plant life anymore, it's not going to be looking too good for us either. Okay? But basically, them talking about a bunch of carbon dioxide being in the atmosphere is about the same as talking about a bunch of water being on the planet and blaming climate change on that. It's ridiculous. They have absolutely no empirical evidence at all. So Roberts, the senator from Australia, he focused on the spike in temperatures from the 30s to the 40s. And he says, yeah, the 30s and the 40s were warmer than the current decade. And except this physicist Cox illustrated that they weren't on his little graph. And Roberts noticed the source of the data on the graph, NASA, which is very interesting because I just did a video about NASA where they sit there and claim that these astronauts are doing an interview from the International Space Station, but the guy sits there and says during the interview that they're somewhere in California. And these are the people we're supposed to believe about climate change numbers. Look, these people in court, these climatologists have went to court and proved that these numbers have been changed and manipulated to further an agenda. And Roberts calls him out on it. He says the data has been corrupted and we know the 1930s were warmer than today. And he's right. These charts have been hacked to get y'all to believe something that's totally bogus. And if you don't think that can happen, maybe you should watch the news and see what's going on with this election. It's the same damn thing. And they said he's been corrupted. And Robert said, yeah, it's been manipulated. And the physicist says, by who? And he says, by NASA. And he goes, NASA? And then Cox goes on in this thing. Can I check one thing? NASA, who landed a man on the moon, suspect. The accusation that NASA, the Met Office in UK, everybody has collaborated to manipulate global temperature data is quite... So they've all manipulated in the same way and accidentally got to the same answer? Is that what you're saying? And that's exactly what we're saying, y'all. That's exactly what we're saying. Why do you think they have these Bilderberg meetings every year? And they have private armies surrounding the cities so nobody can go in to know what they're talking about. These are the people, the elite, that control all the major businesses in the world, getting together every year at secret meetings. So you think it's really hard for them to get a consensus on what kind of bullshit numbers they want to feed us when they're sitting around at these meetings, deciding the best way to populate 80 to 90% of the planet? Because trust me, they can do it. Because they meet every year to get an update on the progress of their plan, y'all. Why the hell do you think nobody's invited? Think about it. Why is it that the government keeps telling you that GMOs are safe, but they're doing everything in their power to make sure you know as little about them as possible? It doesn't make any sense. But that's their only game. Telling you a bunch of bullshit and backing it up with some bullshit numbers and hoping that you'll buy into it because you're just a dumb sheep that's going to walk into the slaughter. Meh. Y'all got to wake up, folks. And y'all are going to see more and more of this coming out on TV looking like some forum, YouTube, internet fight because people are getting tired of standing in that anthill, and eventually they're going to grab some poison and they're going to get rid of those rat bastards. Y'all take care.